anything to do with Western big game.
Welcome to the Epic Outdoors Podcast, powered by Under Armour.
Hey everybody, Jason Carter, Adam Bronson coming at you from southern Utah. It's awesome. It's like freaking 70-something degrees. Bronson, last couple days I've seen nothing but major water coming out of that canyon.
Yeah, the canyon's spitting hard right now. But it's nothing what it's going to be like.
No, but I mean, we've been watching day to day, and 2 days ago it was half of what it is. What it was yesterday, and who knows what's going to happen today. The mountain's warm. It's unbelievable. And, they've got it diverted in like 3 different streams, and there's significant water coming off that hill. So
will be for months.
Kind of crazy. How about Josh went skiing over the weekend, snow skiing?
Yeah, he did. It was, I don't know, spring break for his kids or something like that, and he's burnt to a crisp on the right side of his face because apparently you ride up going, west to east.
Spent too much time on the left.
West to east, and that south face just cooked him.
I don't know. I mean, hey, he's kudos to him.
Second to third degree burns on his face, it looks like.
Yeah. The old man went snowboarding. How about that? Yeah, John did it. John was up there too. They saw each other up there. Yeah. Kind of crazy. I don't know.
I'm looking. Yeah, and then how was Josh walking yesterday around the office?
Seemed a little bit
bow-legged and shuffling.
Yeah, he was wounded.
Sore?
Yeah.
Yeah, muscles you don't use if you don't ski often.
Yeah, 100%. And
if you try to ski aggressively, I skied as a youth. I couldn't do that through high school sports and all that just because of kind of a team rule, but skied very little after. It got expensive, of course and then I got other expensive habits like hunting, and so I don't ski. And now I'm kind of scared to get back into it because you're going to blow something out. It's the same reason I quit playing church ball and stuff. You're going to blow an Achilles, knee, everything else.
You quit
back.
chasing Ty around the house.
Yeah, exactly. Well, look at your kid. He's 16. He's had how many shoulder problems?
Oh.
Due to snowboarding and skiing.
He's had surgery.
Yeah.
He's down and out. I now have a permanent trail cam scouting friend for the summer. No job or nothing.
Because he can't lift ice. He's an ice deliverer,
well,
right?
He does
one of the jobs.
Yeah. Builds ice, makes ice, cuts ice, sells
drive.
ice. Yeah.
Is he going to drive truck?
No, he can't.
Oh, CDL got to be 18 probably.
Yeah,
huh? Yeah. So what do you got?
I've got a buddy for the hills.
Okay.
He's awesome.
In other words, that's a slave.
Oh, well. Hey, if we did human trail cams nowadays, he'd be my human trail camera.
Mm-hmm.
So
hey, he's your last son. You might need to pass on something.
I don't know. Ashley's as hard a hunter as all of them. So anyway, she's killing it.
You can't quite give her the slave driver job, so she's a girl, daughter. You got daddy take care of his little girl. Justin, go pound the post. Oh yeah, you got to dislocate his shoulder. Never mind.
All right. Here's the coyote gun. Oh, it's your right shoulder we can't pound. That'll have to shoot all the coyotes.
Oh yeah, just hand me a Pepsi, Justin. Just hand me a Pepsi.
Can
you give me that?
Oh, poor kid.
Yeah,
anyway,
bummer.
He's still getting trucks muddy. Trust me. I've been sending him out. He
can't be driving.
Looking around a little bit. Not been out and about.
Can't drive the stick, or is he back to driving the stick?
Automatic. No. He's been traveling to Arizona, cranking the hills, and I mean, if he trips one time, you're back in for another 3 to 5 months. It's a problem. I said
those rotator cuffs. You don't mess around with them.
Yeah, he's like 6'2" or something, and I'm just like
you go down hard. You're in a heap.
You're all arms and legs at that age. Don't be clumsy, So anyway, well, we don't have anything specific today. Where there's a lot of kind of loose ends. Mm-hmm. Bronson, who knows where this is all going to go, and sometimes these are our best podcasts. But anyway, we initiated the Mule's Matter movement, so to speak, and with the help of everybody in the hunting world. And we appreciate all the support as we kind of talked about the challenges that mule deer are facing, whether it be droughts combined with harsh winters up north, droughts down here. Now, just the changing of weather patterns makes a huge difference, as well as management within the state. And then maybe even some states being apathetic to change when they need to change. And trying to put that off as long as they can, just for obvious reasons. lots of reasons. They want lots of participation. They also want to generate revenue, and there's budgets to balance and other things as well. There's a lot of people that there are some people that just absolutely don't care about an age class and structure and proper management and 14 other variables. And so, anyway, trying to keep us all happy, and that's not easy. We did bring up some of those challenges and talked about some of it, and then we just thought, well, the least we could do is try to not kill the babies. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, yeah. And I
we
mean,
talked
some of
about
the
this,
states,
you and I, a little bit.
yeah, and this last week, I think it was Friday, we're getting ready for this May magazine, which we do cover Wyoming antelope and deer. And the main reason why we put that off and don't cover it earlier in January is for the very reason of what happened this year. Is since you don't have to apply for those till the end of May, we put those off to gauge winter effects on deer and/or antelope around Wyoming before we go to print. And by the time we go to print, we normally have the permit recommendations, so it makes sense to put it off till like an April mag.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, thankfully you did, because you could apply for those back in January.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luckily, you can amend. It's easy to amend your application, but we're seeing monumental. So Friday they came out with an additional set of permit recommendations that went even deeper in most places, especially for antelope. Some deer. Eliminated tons of doe fawn tags all over the state for antelope, and eliminated or cut severely even more buck or any antelope quotas throughout the state, which just, and I've spent hours and hours as we've done in other states, Jason, and Idaho and Utah and other places, watching these YouTube presentations from biologists that are given around the state. And it sounds bleak up there. And these were done.
Well,
these weren't done this week. These were done. Some of them, you're reading them, and they were the initial permit cuts. And now a month later, things have worsened. They got more big crushing snows, and they've gone deeper. I bet you'd see and even hear the desperation even more if they re-recorded those today. But anyway, enough said. Wyoming, is making some changes there. They're cutting some season dates off the end of some of the western popular G&H units to the end of September, and don't go into that first week of October. Also going to 3-point or better in those areas, and they specifically say this is 100% to prevent from harvesting yearling bucks, because they're basically saying if a buck is strong or a fawn is strong enough to survive this winter, we want him around a while.
Yeah.
And they've already got 90%.
So you and I teased a little bit, and we're saying in some states, and even let's just say within Utah, we've seen where they want to.
They're increasing tags
kill the babies
for one reason.
Kill the fawns down south, save the fawns up north, or because we're potentially going to save some fawns up north, let's issue tags and harvest them down south, because they're not up against winter kill ever.
Just different with the perspective. They're making stuff 3-point or better to save every 2-point that makes it. And in other places, Utah, southern Utah, they're dramatically increasing tags in some units with the sole rationale that we have a big fawn crop coming in this year, a big fawn crop at 2 points. Yeah. That's the only reason they can base it on. Yeah. It's the only thing that's happened since deep cuts last year.
Yeah.
Kill the babies.
I know, and it's a little awkward to say it. It kind of jerks a little bit it triggers you a little bit, which it's supposed to. I'm not a fan of harvesting the small ones. I'm okay with people having an experience and
kids and all that are totally different. Yeah. We've said that a million times, but I mean, when you dramatically increase by what they've done in some units in southern Utah, just based on the fawn crop that's coming up this year.
Abnormal pressure on those young bucks.
Yeah. Well, and let's put it, how many 3-4-year-old bucks do we even have on these units because of the drought?
Right.
We're not even out of the drought. They're so slow to cut tags during the drought, but so fast. One good moisture year, we're going to add them right back.
Right.
It's just my frustration. There's a lot of, I don't want to get going on it.
But no, and they're – a lot of frustrations. We've vented plenty, but we kind of wanted to do a little bit of a recap because this Muleys Matter movement has got so much traction. We've had a lot of donations, significant by personal people. Some are quasi businesses, small businesses. Some are just individuals that don't want to be named, that are throwing in optics
So-
and legit. We're not talking the 10-year-old used optics. We're talking new in box optics, and so
It's not going to be a rinky-dink thing. We're not giving giveaway hats and T-shirts. for
no.
this.
Well, I mean, maybe along with
A good
significant
price.
prizes.
Yeah, that's right.
And so we're so excited about it. We just appreciate all the support out there. Anyway, and it's not necessarily support for us as well as just that it's raising an awareness of let's not shoot the young.
If you don't
Let's
have
not shoot
to.
the moms. Let's just do our best to. I mean, we got to do something. We got to do something in addition to what the states are doing to help our own cause. This is our own industry. We all own this. Me, you, the members of Epic Outdoors, everyone listening, we all own this industry. And so what can we do? There's things we can do. Yeah, may not make a difference with the states. May not. Maybe at times we have. But this is something we can all do. Everybody can throw in a little. And it's been way fun to be a part of.
Save some bucks. Pun intended.
Well, yeah.
Literally.
We're going to save some bucks. The one thing I wanted to talk about on 3-point or better, is I worry a little bit if it's 3 points on one side and a forky on the other side. You get this, shoot, pray, leave and
Walk
lay
up.
concept.
Wow. Say that again.
Shoot, pray, leave and lay.
Wow, that rolled off your tongue. I haven't heard that before.
I haven't either.
Wow.
It was just
divine.
No, but I mean,
Shoot.
pray, leave and lay.
Okay.
You just get that concept
I
of
hope
people are hoping that it's got a 3 on one side, and then they're nervous. They walk up to it, they're nervous, and they go back to hunting and pretend that they didn't find it. And that has happened. It's shown itself years ago
in other states. Yeah, in a lot of
other
states.
places.
That's been the number one reason they don't stick for very
Right.
long is
Right.
the leave and lay.
So if they do that, I just think maybe 3 points on both sides. That way you have to actually consciously view it, look at it, count them, and know your target, and more so than just hoping.
Oh, he's got a decent frame.
Yeah.
I mean, decent.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's got an eye guard. I
60.
mean, if he's a forky with eye guards, or I don't know.
That's a breeder,
Dude,
leave and
100%. Yeah, especially if he made it through up north and
That's
he's
right.
got eye guards. He's legit.
I'm telling you, and it's going to be. It would be if you see a yearling 2-point this year.
Yeah.
In western Wyoming, take your hat off and say, do good things, my friend, because he's one of the right now they're talking 90 to 95% fawn loss on a lot of
Well, in northern Utah, they're talking up at 85%
adult
adult
in places.
mortality.
Yeah.
These are significant.
Oh, sometimes threshold crossing type figures.
Yeah,
meaning you're crossing a threshold now that may not recover just by simply backing off a little bit of tags.
You can double your herd and you've got 3 or 4 or 6 or 9 or whatever, right? I mean, so to speak. And you can't double, 4.5 and get done. I get that. But, I mean, I'm just saying, when you double low numbers, you get nothing, and it takes so many times to double to get to anywhere. And we're not going to quit hunting, and we've shown that. I mean, we closed units how many years ago? Actually, Bronson, why don't we talk about that a little bit?
How long has it been since the units
closed? You
probably
did
our
case
lifetime.
Studies in college on those.
We did. Some of them are in Utah, so I'm more familiar with them.
The Book Cliffs, the Henrys, the
Ponsagon.
San Juan, Ponsagon. Did we close the Book Cliffs? It seems like we did. I know we did San Juan.
Henrys and Ponsagon. Absolutely, for sure. Those are the ones in southern Utah.
San Juan, I know. When they opened it up, there was giants. So keep going.
Yeah, so just interesting. You don't see it anymore. I just wonder why in the past, why was that decision made? That's a dramatic change from normal. This was in the 80s. Mm-hmm. Well, we had a lot more deer than we have today collectively. Yeah. But it had slipped from whatever normal was to the people at the time in the 80s that they felt like, we've got to close this down.
So what happens, and I know what happens. I know the answer to these things. But, I mean, what happens when they close them down and it was like a 5-year stretch? You know what I mean?
Yeah, most of them were not more than 5 to 7 years.
That's right.
Without digging it up now.
And, I mean, it was for some reason there's an intangible. They didn't even hunt does prior, and does are the ones. Does are what obviously have the babies.
Yeah.
But just no hunting pressure actually saved does too. There's an incidental of impacts.
Whatever. I don't know what it is. Whether it's the leave and lays or just whatever. I don't know what it is.
Pressure in general.
I don't know how to do it. Just they were left alone. And they did good things.
And they did
left
better.
Alone.
Even does that weren't hunted
just
prior
seemed
did
like they did
better.
But I'm sure we'd have to go superimpose, and I mean, some of that could have been, it was the perfect time that they closed down with, 82 to 85 in Utah, and certain places was monumentally wet.
Or like saying going to a draw for Colorado was perfect timing because you didn't have the rough winters from 03 to 05 or 06. So you had this perfect. Now, if they would have had really rough winters in 01 or 03, well, and then we wouldn't have this example of Colorado.
And look at let's say in southern Utah or Nevada, if we'd have closed units hypothetically, after 2020, 21 and 22 were just as bad. You know what I mean? It would not have had. So a lot of it is just you get lucky a little bit like sheep transplants or other thing that sometimes you're doomed right from the start because of whatever. Right. But anyway, and we're not saying hey everything needs to be closed down, but I mean there's instances on small scale.
85% loss.
How do you just back off pressure and come back 2 or 3 years later?
How do you?
How?
There's plenty of sheep herds in New Mexico that aren't hunted. They call them. They don't have what they consider to be a viable population, but they have a population. Yeah. I mean, sometimes there's not viable population. Viability.
Yeah. There may be some of that in places. I know
there's sheep in Colorado that aren't hunted.
Well, we saw unit 130 in Wyoming for deer. It's always been a 15 tag type unit, which is kind of like debatable. Well, I have they call it a late season, but it only goes till October 31st. But why even have 15 tags? There's kind of a unique. Let the Region H deer migrate down to the open stage and hunt them. Well, they're cutting that to 5 tags. I'm thinking, why even have a hunt for 5? Probably because they already had people apply for it back from January, like we were talking about.
When you got a skew, it's hard to get rid of it, and that's I contend there's along those same lines. I contend, there's times when the management hunts have worn out their welcome. Out there welcome. It's okay to pull those out. If we go to a 3-point or better in northern Utah, it would be okay to transition out of that sooner than later. As soon as we're back to where we need to be,
you get
let's
2 or 3
out.
years of good farm production. You got it doesn't need to be forever, but maybe there's some
things tend to hold on and
I think there needs to be some outside the box process. And I applaud, I guess, Wyoming for thinking about that because it's not common. Most states, I don't really know of many other states that even employ that, and it's controversial. There's maybe some states will conflict when we say it doesn't help, whatever. There's a lot that have to line up to really demonstrate something to work. You could do it in a bad year and then drought, and it get masked by the drought. That say we're not recruiting any more bucks by doing 3-point or better. Well, it was masked by the fact that it went into two dry years back to back. So there's things like that. But I guess, man, just as some of these agencies and wildlife commissions look at these things that are, hey, we're in our, I guess, upper 40s. Not you, Logan. But in our lifetime, I've not seen something this widespread in my lifetime as far as all of northern Utah, that much of Wyoming, and even northern part of Colorado. I mean, this severe. I haven't that much.
I haven't either. No.
And it goes back,
I haven't either. And so we need to, cruel and unusual times require cruel and unusual remedies.
It was after some of the winters in like 92, 93 that Utah had to go to a draw for the general. That was what started it. Yeah. And we're doing a draw. Now we're to unit by unit draw. Nobody likes to see opportunity go away, but at the same token, and they're like, if we take away opportunity, how do you get kids hooked on hunting? How do you get them out there and give them the opportunity if you cut tags? Well, if you don't have a good experience out there, if you don't have something for them to see and hunt and harvest, then what are you hooking them on? You can take them camping right now. Yeah. What are you hooking them on if there's nothing there?
My kids are addicted, but I also work at other multi-state opportunities, and you could say that that's not possible for some people.
But if you had to just rely on the Utah General, and they draw every 2 to 3 years, or every other. And then the product during these drought years has been, you can find bucks. You can. But it's tough for people, some of them, to find bucks. Or if you hunt casually, a casual family or hunter, I contend that just having a tag isn't good enough.
Right.
You have to have a product on the mountain.
And when times are bad, we all suffer, including the kids. Yeah. And when times are good, we hopefully all prosper. Yeah. I think it's commendable. There's private private enterprises and CWMUs or that are considering, from what I've heard, that are considering not hunting, not commercially hunting their place, and I think that's commendable. And I think it's similar to cattle or sheep or anything else. When you're dealing with livestock or animals or wildlife or whatever, things change. The price of hay changes. That maybe there's a drought and they have to pull off the range earlier than normal, and that creates hardship, and it's unfortunate. And then on the good years, they do well, and hopefully some of these guys do really well on the good years. And I think it's commendable they're willing to take care of the resource and look past their checkbook at times. But also they've also got a reputation
to
hold
realizing
up.
I do not
I
want to
could
take
sell
800. I'm gonna
lose my
lose
reputation.
10 years of business by taking people these next 2 years that I shouldn't be taking.
Or 10 years of a great reputation all of a sudden turns sour, and you got internet trolls crushing you over a bad hunt that you were sold.
That you went ahead with. Yep.
Yeah, and so
It's
there's
our
some of
position.
that, and if that happens, the public shouldn't be able to hunt those places either. If we're in effect shutting down an entire operation,
reason we're bringing that up is a lot of northern Utah is heavily private land. It's where 90% of the CWMUs in Utah are up there. Maybe 80%, whatever the number is, but it's vastly private land.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of interesting. There's just a lot of moving parts, and we've talked so much biology. I'm actually tired of it.
Yeah. Me too.
I think I do want to talk just a little bit more. You brought up a good point about buck-to-doe ratios in Wyoming, even on the general areas. And I've often wondered personally, how can a place like Wyoming, and even parts of Idaho at times, offer basically over-the-counter opportunities for the residents with an unlimited number, and maintain good hunts. People will spend 10, 12, 14 points to go to Region G that's over the counter for residents. Like, why is that? How can they do that and command that kind of point level, which obviously that people are being provided a decent experience, or they wouldn't be willing to go, and we wouldn't be talking about it in a publication. And you and I surmised a few things. Maybe there's, the population base of people in Wyoming is such that they can get away with a little bit of that. And maybe it's just the nature of the units and extreme and
a little bit more
physical.
Forested and physical, mountainous. So you don't just crush everything that walks. There's escapement, whether it be because of terrain or timber, things like that. And it's also a very unique season to hunt on a general. See, there's no other general seasons that hunt September 15th.
Right.
For 2 weeks. It used to be 3 weeks. This year it's going to be 2.
And you could contend a September 15th makes deer pretty vulnerable. They're in a summer.
Yeah, they kind of are just right at there coming out of velvet, but they're also right at that phase that they can get tough. And it feels like with the added pressure, that what we normally hear and see
They've learned over the years to get smart and go to the timber.
You dive to the timber. Yep. And so, they manage those units for $30 per 100 does, which, by other standards in other states, that's like a limited entry type unit in Utah, or
that's better than a lot of states.
A lot of states, for a general season area. So that's a testament to the productivity of those areas. But at the same time,
and they're above that. They're above that 30, now. Pre-winter.
Yeah, going into the winter, they were like 34. I read $34 per 100 does, which that's high.
It is. High.
That's
that's some of our better units here in Utah.
Yeah.
We
some
have
are in
some
the 40s.
that are even higher.
Some are in the 40s, but Ponsagon or things like that.
But impressive.
Yeah.
Honestly, and if they're within their threshold, we're critical. Hey, y'all ought to be changing things up, and we're a bit critical, but being critical set aside, if they're within their management objectives, maybe that's why.
We also talked about
slow
that
to change
in Utah the other day, though. We're talking about buck-to-doe ratios, but at what point does your buck-to-doe ratio do you get
versus carrying capacity?
Yeah, versus how many deer do you actually have with that buck-to-doe ratio? And after a big winter in Wyoming, those are the types of questions they're going to have to really look. All right, we're okay buck-to-doe ratio-wise in a year or two, but our deer numbers are 20% of objective.
And Zach mentioned that we have this moving target all the time, and we're changing our carrying capacity objectives, and we feel like we're chasing our tail and then at some point, people forget what carrying capacity a unit could really have because you haven't seen it for 20 years. Only the elderly in our hunting community remember what a carrying capacity really looks like.
It's just like we joked early winter on about some people don't know what a regular normal winter's like.
Yeah, so
you know,
so
and
is
so you
this
see
winter
a bunch of snow,
really harsh?
and
or
it
is
turned out to be in most places, especially say
It did.
very northern Colorado and all that. But initially, even in southern Utah, you know, we got people, you know, freaking out. We're going to lose a lot. How are they going to do it? Like, this is. I mean, this is the first above normal, severely above normal we've seen in 10 plus years. So normal gets warped into a new sense of normal. And that notion of carrying capacity, or that notion of how many deer can we really sustain on a unit, a lot of times it feels like that just gets lowered and lowered and lowered because, you know, we're so far below it, they just lower the objective.
Or not discussed at all.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just not discussed
When that's
at
the
all.
point of emphasis more than anything.
Yeah.
Growing more deer.
And so, yeah, it's just kind of interesting. But anyway, so there's a lot going on. I guess our point of it is just to say, hey, these tag numbers have been adjusted again up there in Wyoming. Utah's having meetings today as we speak. We've been listening in, talking about committing things to death and whatnot, and maybe some adjustments in our system a little bit coming. Who knows? Didn't even know that was really up for debate, but it sounds like it is today a little bit. So they're having some good discussions. And again, we appreciate the people that spend some time. We know a lot of them, and they spend a lot of time working on this stuff. And there's, like, we all know what they say about opinions, and we have ours, and everybody has theirs, and whatnot. And so it is what it is. Everybody's trying to look out for what's best for the wildlife and from their perspective. So anyway, some positive, Bronson. New Mexico's going to run their draw maybe this
week. In a week or so. Yeah.
And
they
how
have
excited!
A tendency of sometimes being a little early than their advertised date, which I think is the 26th of April, but sometimes they're a week or so early.
Well, they've got to sift out the felons and sift out a few of these other, make sure that the draw's clean, and the applicants are clean and everything's ready to go. So I think there's quite a process in getting everything ready, but it's coming together from my understanding, and I'm going to put you on the spot.
Oh, jeez.
Just came to me.
I need to remember what I applied for. You can ask me what I applied for?
No.
Okay, good.
I want to hear a 380-inch bull story. I don't know that you've
What year was that?
spewed that story. It was a draw tag, and let's just call it 2018 or 2017.
I think it was
2019.
If you keep
So
talking
2019
for a minute,
was actually a pretty good year, at least here in Utah. Nevada was really good year. I imagine New Mexico had that same result. Arizona. Usually when Nevada, Utah have good years, we have good years in Arizona and New Mexico as well.
2019.
Awesome. So they have two different draws. They have a regular draw where we give 6% of the tags to people that are willing to do anything. They could go guided, they go self-guided, they do whatever they want. They could eat the tag, whatever. And then you've got 10% to go into a guide pool for non-residents or residents, whoever applies. Well, and that guide pool helps. At times, that's the only pool that'll be issued a tag where a non-resident can get a tag.
If you're dealing with a 10-tag unit or a 10-tag hunt, there's only going to be one non-resident tag, and it's going to go to the guide pool. So
that particular year, there was one-on-one.
Yeah, there was. It was before they, I guess, reinforced that. They used to round, and it was, in that case, it was 8, 2, and 2. Well, then they ended up tightening up their rounding procedures and whatever, so now it's like 9, 0, and 1 now in that same instance. But yeah, I've entered the guide draw on occasion for certain, like for sheep and things like that, mainly because you get an extra tag or two. And I know that doesn't seem like monumental, but I mean,
when you're looking at one tag, 2 is double.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, this was one of those years. It was also one of the years, like we've talked about often with New Mexico, that in a good wet year, which 2019, if you remember, it rained and rained and rained all spring here. It was just wet. Was an average winter up until about March, and then it just turned on from then to May. It was, which is not as usual for us. And northern Arizona, New Mexico got it too. So it was one of those years feeling like, all right, this is when you just go out there and draw something weird. Well, there was a new unit that opened up that had an early rifle with 10 tags.
They had been only hunting it like archery.
Yeah, so I put it down as my first choice. I mean, just like, well, a 10-tag unit, you better put your first choice, or why put it? And then I don't even remember what I put on the others. That one might have been the same year. 16B Wilderness had the early hunt too.
Yeah,
it
really early, an October one.
Yeah, it might have been that same year. So I'm going to put those two back to back, which is not really an aggressive draw strategy. But
no, it's actually
going for
terrible.
the one tag in a unit or two.
But it was
just
also an area that was overlooked because they're not easy. That
Well,
one
it
is
wasn't
a desert,
easy.
arid, low densities,
Yeah.
but giant potential.
And I don't know what I did second, third, honestly. It could have been 16B wilderness, but it may not have been. But anyway, I was more aggressive on the third, whatever that was. But I drew my first choice. And I remember I about crapped. You remember that?
Yeah. Oh,
I mean, because we had to look
I
four
mean, I don't
times
remember
thinking,
the bathroom incident, but yes.
But remember,
Yeah.
I read the hunt code to you, and we're like,
Wow.
that's what it is. But how is that? How are you the only person? You're the one statistic. You're the one in whatever.
What I love is you can't draw 50% odds,
Oh.
but you'll draw the 1 in 100.
I've drawn
You've,
weird.
the
I
goat
am
in Alaska
weird. Yeah.
over 1 in 100.
I've drawn some really wild ones. Antelope in Arizona in
Oh,
Unit
yeah.
10.
Oh,
you
yeah.
shouldn't draw that.
No.
You shouldn't.
And you got an 87 inch
shouldn't draw
truck
that.
chaser.
You know, but you do.
Did
and
you
then,
chase him? Did he chase
no,
you?
No.
It depends on who you ask.
It was all me and him. But I was chasing him.
I think you've even spewed that story
Oh,
once,
yeah.
but it seems like it was a thunderstorm of epic proportions.
It was actually after I had a friend of mine, Eric Hunt, in Arizona. He knows Unit 10 well, so he'd offered to come up on the hunt and just glass-eyed. I found this buck and a couple of others. This is the one so we're talking antelope now instead of elk in New Mexico.
Well, I think it's just hilarious.
But you're out in antelope country and you're the
Yeah.
tallest thing and you got a gun over your shoulder. I remember walking back to the truck. It's pouring rain and lightning all around us, and I'm like, we're going to die. One of us is going to get hit by lightning. There's lightning hitting all over. It is pouring. And I didn't dare put my gun on my shoulder because why? The highest thing above your head is going to be a lightning rod. It's going to be your bullet. So I carried my gun down in my hand, and I'm just stretching. You know, we don't got heavy packs. We got an antelope in there, but it was just, it was only probably, I don't know,
This
half
was
a mile
after you
to
smashed it
and took care
on
of
a
it. and all
45
that.
mile an hour run. Dude,
Pretty
I
much,
wish
yeah.
I was there.
Well, that's what I meant by I chased him. I airmailed him. I put my sticks in the bush, got my gun up, and I don't know if they weren't actually on the ground, you know, the actual sticks,
Something
but I shot
happened.
and my gun fell down into the bush.
And
And I'm like, he just took off running. I'm like, what? It's
Full
like
bore.
300 or 350. Like it's a
dead
chip
goat.
So I just jacked one in, and luckily he was running straight away from me. Straight. We all know how fast.
And there's
and
a
I had
major
no-
kill. There's a major kill zone that's what, 4 inches in diameter
Yeah.
total.
Yeah, and I think I've told the story, but I had no time to range and dial, and by the time you range and dial, get on your gun, he's moved 100 yards, so it doesn't matter. So I just, you know, he's a big antelope, and I'm like, so I just put it right on his butt, raised it above his head, and just shot and crumpled him up,
Pretty impressive.
and went up there, and
Pretty
that
fun.
bullet hit him right at the top of the tailbone, went in and out in about 6 inches, and hit him right in the back of the head.
Wow. Yeah. I love that.
And I just remember Eric getting on the radio. He's like, bro, that was something. I said, well, I'm glad I had a witness. Because it was the wildest shot I've ever made in my life. But, hey, I airmailed one broadside at 3 to 350. So
Well,
it's not all.
But anyway, way past a truck chaser. Now let's move back onto this elk story.
Yeah. So anyway, so we're out in this. It's
Long shot draw odds.
Yeah, long shot draw odds. I drew it. So went down there, and my guide, Jordan, from Premium Hunts, it was an awesome trip. He had already scouted down there. He's from New Mexico, so we had been looking around. But it's the type of unit, too, that these elk roam a lot, especially at night. There's
Lot of movement. Miles.
scattered trees. It's very flat. They can roam miles and miles at night. So
5 or 8 miles.
yeah, you can't.
To and from water like cattle
Yeah,
can
they're
do.
just really like that. And so anyway, after, you know, first day or so, we saw several bulls. I saw one that was, you know, probably a 350-ish bull, but, you know, maybe right 340 or 50. I forget exactly now, but he's a really solid bull, but it's like, not a no-brainer. And then that evening, we ended up seeing the bull that I ended up killing, but he was on a little piece of private, and that unit's got a healthy mix of public and private with all throughout it. So you just got to be, you know, willing to deal with that. And on a 5-day hunt, though, you know, you've hunted these. You've hunted several of those types of units that a bull gets tied up on private, and you hunt them for a day or two, and all of a sudden half your hunt's over.
Yeah.
And-
5 days.
Yes.
So your hunt is a 5-day season.
They all
Total
are.
season.
All the firearm hunts, to my knowledge.
What I
right?
love is that they're a 5-day season. What I hate is that they're a 5-day season. At least you have closure for good
Yeah,
grief.
they can't go on too long. But anyway, the second day he moved his cows down off in his rut, and we got into position. And he had a big group of cows, and took us a while to to sort him out, he got on this thick cedar ridge, and they all started bedding down. He couldn't see the bull, and so we actually split up. He had one angle on the ridge, I had another. I snuck in. I was 500 or something yards from him, and finally the bull got up out of his bed and started, rutting cows, just like they do in the late morning, and I hammered him. I just kept hammering. I just remember I kept shooting at that bull because, I had no spotter right with me. He was, I don't even remember if he could see the elk, Jordan, but when an elk's standing on its feet, I'm not one of those proud guys that likes to pride himself on how many one-shot kills they have on an elk. I don't care. I want the elk dead. And I rocked him. He stood there. I rocked him again. He spun. I hit him again. Anyway, there was a lot of shooting. I think 4 or 5 times.
Well, yeah, and you don't have to say everything.
I don't
This
care.
isn't a tell-all.
I don't care.
I think it was more than 5.
I think it was 5. So, no more than 5.
No more than 5.
No more.
Wasn't it?
But he just soaked
wasn't
him
it?
up.
Wasn't it a 300? Wasn't it a 300 round? I can't remember.
That was a 7mm. It was a Red Rock Precision 7mm.
Okay.
Regular.
Did you already say that?
No.
Oh, okay.
But anyways, that gun, I love it. It was 500, 550 or something like that. And he was also in cedar trees, so meaning if you shoot him, he runs it out of your gap, and he's not hit perfectly. You got problems in cedar trees, So as long as I could see him, and he just kept standing there stiff-legged, he was getting another bullet. I didn't care if I thought he was dead on his feet, but that was awesome. We walked up to straight 6, like 381, super long beams, big fronts. Anyway, it was
gorgeous
awesome.
bull.
Beautiful,
That's
just
the
a
thing.
perfect 6.
When you think about a desert bull, I don't think about a long, tiny, beautiful, giant, big back end, just beautiful bull. You know what I mean? You just think in the desert, you're just thinking it's going to be a stubby, heavy, monster, wide, weird,
There's been a ton of feed down there that year. Ton of feed. There's a lot of feed down there, and they grew well. And it was just the right year to beat the odds of 1 in whatever it was. Terrible.
Yeah.
I think it was 1 in 64 that year.
Yeah. Oh, I can't remember.
Which is bad.
It was tough, but anyway, there's some pretty awesome experiences down there. I've had I've killed, some of my best bulls have come from New Mexico, and same premise what you're talking about. Just great years, great moisture years in odd units.
Yep.
It can happen in any of these units.
Yep.
I mean,
it's going to happen this year.
Yeah,
year.
That's what I guess.
Arizona, New Mexico, it's going to happen.
That's what I guess I kind of like about it. It doesn't matter if it's even a 37 or a 23 or a 38. Your unit, even some of these just crazy outliers that aren't really outliers on great moisture years.
Right.
Can produce as good or better than anywhere else. I mean, the age is there. Old freaking dinosaurs. Let's just call Sean real quick.
Who?
My kid Sean. He went on that youth hunt, killed his first archery buck.
Yeah.
On a late archery.
And he also killed his first elk on a 15 youth muzzle, didn't he?
He did.
First elk.
Yeah.
Was that?
It was a
they
little
were
kid.
screaming
I don't
there.
even know.
He was
wonder if
probably
he even
14 or
remembers.
15, probably 13. How old was he? I don't know.
Young. I don't know. 11 or 12.
Rocking a muzzleloader.
It was a giant, heavy muzzleloader in the claw. You know what I mean? And
bulls were rutting like crazy, weren't they?
Oh,
15.
yeah. It was awesome. So that youth hunt's early, and it kind of gives them the jump. Mobility impaired in youth in New Mexico, where they have those seasons. Not all units have those seasons. Where they have those seasons, they get preferential treatment, with the exception of like the Vividel. That's kind of a late, like an October 28 youth or something. There's some of those exceptions. But anyway, I just want to hear. I have no idea what Sean's going to say. I have no idea. He's never really been on the podcast.
Well, he called you a couple weeks ago, and you answered on the podcast.
I
remember?
know, and he was just like, But anyway, let's just see what he says and see what his memory, if he answers, and then what his memory was like.
Hello.
What are you doing?
I'm working. What are you doing?
Well, we're working, right, Bronson?
You betcha. Doing a podcast right now.
Have you got a quick minute?
Yeah, I got a minute.
I just want to know, Adam and I were talking, and we're kind of talking, New Mexico's draw results are about to come up, and you've had a couple of experiences. Your first archery deer spot and stock, and then also your first elk with a muzzleloader. And Sean, you were so young, I don't even know. I actually don't know if you remember. The elk was a long time ago.
Elk was a long time ago. Man, 9 years ago now. I think I was 11 because
11 or
that was before I
12?
could hunt Utah or anything.
Yeah, so we went down and did the New Mexico, and just I guess just wanna, other than we didn't kill the 370 bull that was one of those muzzleloaders. Do you remember, Sean, what happened on that bull?
Oh yeah, we had a misfire with the muzzleloader.
Well, it actually,
Did
I
we?
think, yeah, remember it the firing pin dented the primer, but didn't really hit the primer, and the bolt
Yeah.
was slightly up. The bolt was just slightly up.
Okay.
You remember, Sean?
Yep, I remember that. Yep, and the bull was right there, walking out of range.
Wow.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy, but you ended up killing a bull.
Yeah, we ended up with one on the last day. I think the last morning.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your archery deer experience a little bit and 2B. So Sean ended up drawing 2B on the archery, the late archery, the January
youth only.
1st to the 15th
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah. Yeah. So
Yep.
what did you think of that hunt, Sean?
Well, I did it twice.
Right.
I think I hunted it 2 years in a row.
Right. Yep.
And
you did.
the first year was awesome. I mean, I missed a 200-inch plus.
I forgot.
How old were you there? Like 13 or 14 or 15 somewhere?
Yeah, I think I wasn't driving. Well, I had a permit because I remember I was kind of driving then.
Oh, I
So I must
remember
have been 15.
you were trying to get me out of the driver's seat, and it was like 2 a.m. Dad, I want to drive, and I'm like,
No
so I did.
way.
Dude, I let him drive. We're
Home?
going across the nav, and remember, Sean, and I could not fall asleep. I mean, I was
Just
jerky.
scared?
Oh, scared crapless,
This kid's going to
dude.
run you off the road on
This
an
kid-
unfamiliar highway, too, in another state.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep him off caffeine, and then he's thinking he's big and can drive, and I'm wiped. Probably put a full day in here and then jumped in the truck as we do all the time. And anyway, you remember,
Yeah.
Sean? I remember even
Oh
though.
yeah. Oh yeah, I remember. It was back when you had the Tacoma.
Okay. Well, so anyway, go ahead. I want you to just tell the story. I guess if I could shut up and let you talk, it brings back a lot of memories for a dad. So.
Yeah, I mean, first time was a lot of fun. There was just deer everywhere. Everywhere you went, we found a lot up on the forest and stuff. Ended up missing the big deer, and then
How far? I got it.
I don't know. I think 50 or something.
Ish.
Or less.
Yeah,
And it was a big deer.
It
was
big.
no
I can
joke.
remember.
No joke. big
Giant
deer.
frame and cheaters out both sides.
Ugh.
It was no
stuck.
joke. It was no joke.
But
And I don't know that you missed him on purpose. I don't know that it was your
What do you
fault.
mean?
We found the arrow and we found where it deflected.
Hit a limb or something.
Yeah.
it did. It was one of those things. It's just kind of the buck was standing there and we jumped out and he was kind of getting away and I think it was 50 yards. You ranged him and I shot and I knew when I shot that it missed. It deflected off a branch and went flying up in the air.
But
It was just one of those unlucky.
But you shot at your first 200-incher, though. That's what you did.
Yeah. Yep. Shot at my
Yeah.
first 200.
Yeah.
And then was it that trip or was it the next? Did you kill a buck that week, that day,
Yeah.
next day?
Yeah, it was the next day or the next. I think we had 4 or 5 days down there and ended up killing one on the very last morning. Just a little 3x4, but it was good for first archery buck.
Oh, yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Sean.
Spot and stock.
Yeah.
Sean got out and he's like, Dad, I'm going to shoot him. Remember?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
Keep going with it.
Yep. We just another one of those things. It's just a lot of thick country, so you're driving a lot of roads and drove up on him and he kind of ran over the ridge and we got out and just kind of snuck our way to the edge of the ridge and poked over and he was still standing there. So just kind of lucked out.
Well, and I'm trying to leave him, so I'm watching from a distance. I'm just trying to leave him go. Like,
Let him and the deer be. Go. You hunt the deer.
make
son.
that happen,
Yeah.
you know, because if you got two dudes out there stalking a deer, I mean, it's just it just overpowers them a little. And I mean, if it's just Sean, he's what are you, Sean? Like 5'3" at the time or whatever. You're really
Yeah,
young.
something close to that.
Well, you're really young. Like you're 11 years
probably.
old or whatever it is. No, you're way past 11. Yeah, so you're probably
Yeah.
a little taller than that. But anyway, you're out there stalking this deer, and I'm back there just watching it, and like he draws back, and I'm like, are you crapping me? Like this is gonna happen right now.
Let one fly.
You know. And Sean, take over.
Yeah, shot him. I hit him far back in the first one, and so we ended up having a track job. It was the last night we were going to be there, and so we were just pretty much tracking him until we could get out. Anyway, I ended up 500 or 600 yards later walking up on him in his bed and had put another one in him.
Awesome.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was a blast. It was a blast. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The second year we went down there, not so much. It was just the winter and everything that was going on that year. The deer were all spread out. And
Yeah.
I remember it being really tough.
Yeah. Tougher.
Oh, yeah.
Still.
For sure.
Still good compared to what we experience here, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We could have shot smaller bucks that year. Stuff like that.
Seemed like you turned trophy hunter overnight to me.
Huh.
Yeah.
You're pretty picky.
Well, once you shoot a few 4 points,
Yeah.
you know.
Want to up the game a
Want
little bit.
something better.
Yeah.
That's right. Well,
All right. Yeah, it was.
Well-
Sean, tell me how many bucks did we see on that trip in your estimation, and deer in general?
Oh, hundreds and hundreds of deer.
yeah.
A handful of bucks. I don't remember how many. Quite a few 4 points. A lot of 4 points. I was stalking bucks almost every day, multiple times a day sometimes.
That's
It was.
that's what you need for a
Those kind
kid
of
with a bow.
experiences. Yeah.
Pretty fun stuff.
Yeah.
Sean, do you have any special story you want to talk about? Any other deer hunting story or any other story?
Oh, I don't know. I'll have to think of an embarrassing one of you.
No.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Sean, you and I'll talk after, and we'll get that ready for the next podcast. I'll call you.
Sean doesn't know any.
We need the
embarrassing
juicy
stories.
ones.
Sean,
Oh, we could think of one.
no.
Like maybe a time your dad slept in and you woke up in the tent and it was at 9:30 on
Sean-
opening day sometime.
Sean, has that ever happened?
I don't remember a time of that. No.
Or, I don't know. You got all the way out there opening day and he left his gun back at the house or something. I don't know of anything. I'm just wondering. It's time to jog your memory.
No, that never happened.
Man,
Huh?
it's hard to think.
Yeah, exactly.
I know there's been times.
How about
Okay.
the time you left your tag? We were in New Mexico archery deer hunting, and you left your tag at the motel.
Nope, that doesn't
These are
strike a bell.
These are supposed to be stories about you, Jason, not Sean. We're asking.
These are about dad being frustrated as a dad.
We're not talking about me anymore.
Well, but you think, Sean, and you got my number. You know how to get a hold of me,
Yep.
and we'll get you back on anytime you'd like.
Sean, what's
All right.
what's your favorite species to hunt?
Mule deer, of course.
I like it. All right,
Yep.
sounds good. Well, appreciate you coming on for a quick sec.
Yep. I appreciate you calling me.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see you
All
later.
right, bye. I don't know, the youth opportunities down there are pretty significant. That one's not a special season. They hunt against the adults too, but it's a separate draw.
Draw
you know.
pool amongst kids only and better odds than the adult draw pool, stuff like
Yeah.
that. So, yeah, it's kind of exciting. One of the first, I guess, bigger states that comes out with multi-species draw results. New Mexico always is. So it's kind of, we're all excited about that. There's a few others like, Montana deer and elk you're going to be coming out here in this week, possibly by the end of the week or early next. We'll see. But it's not the whole state, sheep, moose, goat, bison, all that's not doesn't come out till later. So New Mexico is one of those the first that has a big release, and you look for green, not red.
Yeah, that's a good point. They color code them, and it's kind of exciting. But what I like too is just they don't have an age. They don't have a minimum age requirement. You just need to have hunter ed, and so you can take kids really young.
We've all done. You've done your two boys. I took Ty down there. He shot his first deer before he could hunt anywhere else too. So it's good for that.
Colton killed his first deer at 9 years old down there. I mean, man, pretty cool stuff. But anyway, yeah, Bronson, that stuff's coming out. We're way excited, especially on top of a wet year. We get so excited
Give
for
me
our
some
members
green.
that draw.
Give me
too.
green. Give me green. Yeah. This is the year, man. I want it.
It is. You want to hunt?
I haven't even put in for antelope. I did, and I don't do that every year.
I did too. I told you I applied for.
I know where you applied.
deed.
I know where you did.
I mean, it's a 14-day drive.
Do you
to
need a
get there.
passport to go down
I
there?
might need
Do you
it.
have to dip into Mexico and come back in? I don't know how you even get to that spot. I'm just teasing everybody.
They make 2-lane highways that get there for sure. So I'll be there. But anyway, I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty fun. we've got a lot going on, Adam. I mean, we're working on Idaho. We're working on Idaho deer, elk, and antelope as well, and so there's a few changes up there for sure. I mean, they've made some adjustments. They've had those August and December hunts up there, and they've done away with some of that because they were in large part were brought on for depredating elk and to deal with that issue, and it actually, I mean, it
did the job.
It did the job. In large part, it did the job, but it also, I don't want to say hurt quality. I mean, but it did. It actually curbed quality a bit for elk, like in Unit 45.
52 and 45 units like that, yeah.
Yeah, and 46. I mean, it did its job out there in the desert, and people could hunt like in 45. You could hunt the whole unit and whatnot. And so when you did that, you ended up taking bulls off of private too, in the center of the unit and other places, and so you end up with rifle hunting bulls August 1 or August 10 or whatever within the season that when they're somewhat vulnerable, and it takes a toll. December they're
vulnerable for different reasons because of herd up big, vast open country to find them. But yeah, going to be some changes there. I haven't gone through them all like you have yet, as I'm working on Wyoming and some other stuff, but yeah, that'll be done here in the next, 10 days or so. EMAG will probably be live within 10 days, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Week to 10 days, something like that. And, but then, yeah, quite a few deadlines coming up here, too, in the next, we'll call it 3 weeks this month.
Dude, we've got Idaho sheep, goat, moose. We're due April 30th. We've got Kansas is due April 28th. We've got Montana, sheep, goat, moose, bison due May 1st. Wyoming, obviously, we've talked about that. Sheep, goat, moose, bison, April 17.
Yeah, that's coming up real quick. Utah, the 27th of April. So April is jam-packed. There's a lot to do. So make sure you stay on top of the tentative draw schedule, because, man, there's a whole lot coming up. Then May's pretty busy, too. So
yeah, it's an intense month. It's kind of exciting. We're also, of course, 60, 70-degree days. How about I'm so excited. Yeah. Just to be out and about. We're dying to get out in the hills and shed hunt locally here, and not have to drive a state away or whatever to get out in the hills. But anyway, trying to avoid even. It's like these guys say here in the office. They're scared to just take a walk in the hills because people will think you're shed hunting.
Yeah, just how do I do that? How do I get my exercise?
Yeah,
can't get my steps in around the office. Got to do something. But if I get hiking the mountain in the morning, I'm gonna get turned in. I got to fight that.
Yeah. I just want to throw a little shout out there to Under Armour. They've got a lot of stuff on the horizon. They generally come out with their new models of clothing and whatnot and gear generally in July and August. And that's the schedule. That's kind of the schedule for this year as well. You're going to see a lot of the new products and whatnot basically coming out in force in August, and so you can get on our website for 40% off cards, coupons, codes, whatever you want to call it, up to $2,000 per one. So get on our website, you can download that and grab it, and then kind of wait, build up a shopping cart and kind of a list of items you'd like. Wait and make the best use of that card. When you're willing to spend a few bucks. And so anyway, you can go check out what they've got at ua.com. They've obviously all sporting activities. They're making clothing and shoes and boots and clothes for as well as hunting. They've got a hunting section on there, and got the Ridge Reaper line of camo, which is awesome. It continues on in barren and forest and whatnot, as well as other patterns as well. So anyway, just great people. Happy to be associated. They've been a huge proponent of ours and supporter, and we appreciate them. So. Yep.
Also want to give a shout out to Blaine St. James and his crew at St. James Sporting Properties, based in Windsor, Colorado. But they licensed in Colorado, Idaho, Kansas, Montana, New Mexico, Oregon, Utah, and Wyoming. They're built around the idea that more often than not, the recreational value of a property exceeds the agricultural value, and they want to bridge that gap between sporting property buyers and recreational ranch owners. And Blaine and his crew have over 2 decades of real estate experience, founded a brokerage not to be everything to everyone, but to be specialized in marketing and sell the finest sporting properties in the West. So if you're looking to buy or you've got family looking to sell, reach out to Blaine. You can email them at info@sjsportingproperties.com or 877-354-7247, or they advertise in our magazine as well. But he's a hunter, knows how to value property, knows how to find what you're looking for too. We've had a lot of members buy and sell properties through Blaine, and he's a hunter. He knows, he's got an eye for stuff like that, whether it be you give him your goals, your needs, what you want. If you're looking to place to, just a secondary ranch, or you're looking for a place to retire and move out west, he can help you. So
super smart guy. Yeah, he's a good friend of ours, and like Adam said, he just got an eye for it. He's got a knack for it. He's just awesome at what he does. We also want to throw a shout out to Red Rock Precision, super good people. Kurt Pilcher and his boy, just awesome. They support us here at Epic Outdoors. We support them. Make incredible rifles, very innovative. They've got some new stuff coming out. Pretty awesome. Don't want to.
Probably ought to get them on a podcast when they're ready to talk about it, because they are some new things they're working on.
They are, and I don't want to really say anything too early, but they are working on some things very innovative, and we're going to be a major affiliate with that and partner with them. So really excited for that. Appreciate them. Red Rock Precision, go on. You can go find them on the web. Get a hold of them. They'll do anything custom that you want. And, calibers, whatever. And they just feel great in your hands. That Red Rock rifle of mine, it's in a 30 nozzler. Regardless of the caliber, just an incredible feel. Bronson, we've killed a lot with their rifles.
Absolutely. Love them. I've got a couple. Brother's got a couple. Used them a bunch. So one last shout out I want to give to Stealth Cam. We're dealers of their products. They make great products. They're always innovative too, looking to try to upgrade models, tweak a lot of technological changes that have come into the stealth or trail camera world over the last 10 or 15 years. Monumental changes, whether it be from reactor or fusion cellular cameras, all down to the SD cameras for whatever your need, whether it be high video quality is what you need, or just coverage cameras, whatever. They make them. Check them out at stealthcam.com, or if you're interested in buying some cameras, it's getting very close to that time. You just start finding out you draw tags. Maybe you need to run some cameras or update cameras that are getting older, used, weathered, all that. Give us a call here at Epic Outdoors. We've got a bunch in stock. We're stocked up with lock boxes and cameras both. So when you find out what you got, give us a call. Or if you want to look at all the products they have, again, check them out at stealthcam.com. So
pretty awesome. One last shout out. Let's a little shout out to the guys there at Phone Scope. Super good guys. If you didn't video it, it didn't happen. Of course, I can't show you guys that I'm hunting big deer unless you video it.
That's right.
So
you can tell stories, but we want to see to believe.
And then there's some Phone Scope footage that Wyatt and the boys won't show us. Why do you think that is, Bronson?
There is?
Oh, I know there is.
I'm going to ask them when I get in there next.
Absolutely, there is. They're videoing some big. They're on some big animals. Anyway, appreciate those guys. They've got some great products. Just allows you. I mean, they're the originals, the OGs. For producing a way to video animals, and as technology gets better on the phones, of course, the video footage is incredible. I'm videoing in 4K now, and I do it with ease with their products. So, PhoneScope. You can find them out there in the big wide world. Logan, they're at Cheston and family are right there from where you're from.
Beaver County, baby.
How about it?
Best place on earth.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Why don't you tell us why it's so awesome?
Well,
some of the most incredible hunters and families live there, right?
yeah. No, well, me especially.
My family's from there.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, they are. That's true.
What do you mean? You act like you forgot that or didn't know it.
Well, when you said best hunters in the nation come out of there, I was just thinking about me and my family.
I think they are.
You were there, too.
I think they are. But your dad has me on speed dial, boss, for a few recommendations here and there.
Just to help us find somebody to get unstuck.
Yeah. How about this, Logan? I just want to know what was going through your mind when you
75 miles an hour down the highway.
When your dad or you, yeah, okay, yeah, there's part of that. We can go over that story. But you guys text me, they're that long.
And that's all you got.
That's all I got. So
You
I get
don't
this
know if
line.
they've got a-
Well,
Might
I'll
be
read
a
it to you.
might be a 400. So you don't know what that means.
And it says we were last here.
Oh,
and you
that's
got
not-
coordinates and not a point or a pin on a map or
Yeah,
anything?
and I'm just like, this is my location. 34.93 ...
Random
minus
number.
111 ... And I'm thinking, yeah, and it's a 678 number.
Yeah. So
It doesn't say come get us. It doesn't say. It just says if you
This
come
is
look
my
for
location.
my bones. Come look for my bones here and lay me to rest. Tell me what happened and why you guys were. Why were you? Why did I get this random text of a lat long?
So we were driving around this old 2-tracker road, a road that we shouldn't have been on, in a truck we shouldn't have been in. We were in a big old Duramax driving down those 2-tracker rough
Bronson
roads.
and I now own Duramaxes. Why are you hating on Duramaxes?
No, I love them. They're great trucks, but on those 2-tracker
Where was-
roads, they are rough and heavy.
Oh, yeah.
And we weren't planning on it, but it got to the point where we were on it too long to turn around.
You're committed.
Yeah, and so we had to just ride it through the rest of the way to camp. And we get going and we get up on some of these hills.
Is that about the right camera right there?
Yeah, sure.
Nailed it.
I wasn't even recording on that one.
Oh,
but,
okay.
Oh,
Keep
for
going.
it.
Hit record.
He controls everything.
Anyway, yeah. So we get going on top of these hills, and there's a lot of snow that hadn't melted off yet. We didn't know that. And
What were you doing there anyway?
This was in Arizona. Let's clarify that right now.
It was. It was in Arizona.
We were down in
100%
Arizona
legal.
looking for sheds.
Okay. All right. Keep going.
Yeah.
Spending money in their state, right? Buying fuel.
Yes.
Maybe even side-by-side tires.
Hey, shout out to a little gas station right off that highway. They make a good burger for a gas station. So
There you go. Supporting the local economies. Okay,
exactly.
keep going.
So we get up on top of these hills, start hitting some snow drifts, and, man, they're deep, and they're those iced-over ones that have been there since who knows how long. And it would have taken us like 4 hours or more to get back the way we came just because it was so rough going.
I want to interject, Bronson. Okay, I've hunted this unit, and the road they took, I never told them to take. And it was nearly half the night to get to a paved road in a half-ton. It was the most brutal road I've ever been on.
It would have been tough on a side-by-side.
Rocky.
Oh, brutal.
Mm-hmm.
And you hit the pumpkin about every 20 yards or something.
Jeez,
You're just
yeah.
dragging. And these
And it's
guys are
tore up from
yeah.
water.
In a
And I
3/4 ton diesel.
Yeah. And I made it out. I was committed. I'm like, I'm going to spend the night out here trying to get back to the
Yep.
pavement in dry conditions.
Yep.
These guys happen to take that road. I don't know why. Why?
Well, because, we were just
Shortest distance between 2 points.
Yeah.
And you would naturally say, this looks like a major road on Onyx or a map or anything else. You never take that road. Keep going.
Yeah. Well, we hit the glassing spot. There was some elk, but we hadn't found the horn, so we said we'll just go deeper into the belly of the beast. This is why we stayed on that road.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we start hitting them snow drifts, and we were like, it's too late to turn around. It's probably dang near 8 o'clock by this point. And so my dad says we're just going to get through these snow drifts, and we'll just get out the other side. So he just gooses it, and we're blowing through snow drifts. They're deep, and it's, slowing the truck down pretty good as we hit them. And we hit 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row, probably 10 yards apart. And we hit that fifth one, and it just high centers us.
Snow?
Yeah, the snow was so icy and drifted that it packed up under the truck, and we were high centered.
Those plastic air dams of these nice, pretty trucks are. I mean, do you guys have one left? Like, is there one under that bumper? Those black plastic air
Yeah,
dams.
that's exactly. That was.
Did
half
you
the
leave
problem.
plastic in the hills?
No. Well,
That's littering, Jason.
not-
They wouldn't do that.
I'm just wondering. I'm just thinking about those.
we didn't leave any plastic from those things underneath, but our grill is a different story.
Handyman Jack.
Yeah, Handyman Jack, you know it. And so we're high centered. We're jacking the truck up, getting rocks underneath it, trying to just get enough to just roll
using
that
the
thing
handyman on a tow on the tow hook.
Yeah.
And
Tow
that's
hook,
when
tow
you
hook
get
hitch.
this is when you get the coordinates. This is why you
Yeah,
got the
when
coordinates.
did you guys think we better send somebody? And hey, and I feel honored. You guys thought I would drive from
Yeah.
Cedar City, Utah.
What is that? 7 hours? 7?
I mean, one
6,
way.
7?
One way.
6 or 7
One
hours
way.
probably.
Yeah. On the worst road in known to man, I would probably get those coordinates, look at it on a map, and send my boy. Hey, here's a gas card. Do good things, and a winch, maybe 2 winches.
Maybe 2 winches. We jacked the truck up 3 times, and it kicked the rocks and sticks out, and we couldn't get out. So my dad had a Zoleo, one of those satellite phone packages, And
I don't know
like,
how that works. How does
What
that
is
work?
that? Is that the?
So the Zoleo,
It's not the Elon Musk thing, huh? That's
I don't know what
like
it is.
Wi-Fi, isn't it?
It
I'm
like
gonna learn
Bluetooth
something.
to your phone, and then it gives you this app, and you can text people through satellite coverage on your app. You guys
Through
use a
your
different
phone?
one.
It's like
Mhm.
it's like InReach.
Well, we use
use
InReach.
Same type thing, probably.
But you don't have to buy a device for it. It works through your phone. Or do you have
no,
to buy
this
a
one
device?
you have the little square, and you like it's
It's-
carabinered onto your.
All right,
Okay.
it's an InReach
I think
type.
it's the same general idea.
Competitor.
It's a
Uh-huh.
relay. Boom,
Mhm.
boom, text.
So
you're
that
up.
was the text you got. I was like, I'll bet Jason knows somebody that lives near here
Okay, that's what you were thinking.
that'll come and
I
throw
was
us
like,
a tow.
Bronson.
But that only.
I was being summoned at some point, and I don't know who this is. I don't even know
And-
who it is.
It was
Where
supposed
are
to
you?
say,
Here's my lat long. Where are you? You're like, who am I supposed to meet? Where?
Well, it doesn't come through on a mapping app that I
Yes.
have because I don't recognize
It's called
that.
Zulu.
Or whatever.
it was supposed to say, hey, we're stuck. Do you know anybody that could come do
Did
us
you-
a good deed?
Did you think you sent that message?
Well, my dad typed that and sent it, and then hit the coordinate send, and so I don't know. I don't know what had happened.
Well, I'm going to screenshot what I sent you.
Yep. And so our idea was
2 hours later.
Yeah, you put those in the Onyx, those coordinates, and send somebody out to save us.
Oh.
Yeah, finally the fourth or fifth time we jacked up that truck, we finally got big enough boulders underneath it. It rolled off. We got turned around. We blew back through all those snow drifts.
And you're like, this is the way we're going now.
Yep, got back to camp at like 3 a.m.
Oh, one of those nights.
It was a
This
a
is
good
one
night.
of those times when you just wonder, like, how many of those trips can a Chevy handle?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're pretty significant trips.
Jason, you
take-
ought to know more better than anybody.
Well, dude, I went
That's a
through.
regular
I went through
occurrence.
motor mounts. It's got 49,000 on it. Why? How does a truck go through motor mounts?
You know better than anybody. I'm just going to say it again.
Well, then you said you were
Rough.
shocked,
Them rough roads.
and then
Rough.
I thought, wait, what's happening to your truck right now? New shocks.
I got a shock. Somehow. I don't know how it went off. I don't know how. I don't know how I blew a shock.
And we've had trouble with those shocks.
Reservoir shock. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're not cheap.
So, anyway, Handyman Jack will jack up a diesel engine,
It will.
like a full.
Yep.
They're a heavy truck. Usually guys take 2 to 4 ton, floor jacks
Mhm.
for a diesel. But
One side
that
at a
floor
time,
jack
one hook at a time.
wouldn't have helped you necessarily. You'd have had to
Mhm.
holler it out with a shovel and
Mhm.
yada yada.
Yeah, and that handyman jack is at least 15, 20 years. He's had it since
Oh,
I don't even know.
I've got my original.
High school.
Yeah.
They're heirlooms.
Yeah.
I'd never get rid of mine.
I'll
You know how
have to
many
buy one.
times that has saved me?
Yeah, I haven't used them in a long time, and that's a good thing.
Well,
That's a good thing.
you would.
Oh, yeah, I would.
I mean, but
I
I'm
used
surprised.
them growing up in high school. My dad had a 75 Chevy Blazer, and they had rear beefy,
Oh.
solid metal bumpers. Like you just hook
you
them
would
to the
make them
bumper.
in a shop class, but
Yeah.
they're like
Beefy.
4,000 pounds
Yeah.
a piece.
And just what you described, jack it up, throw anything debris,
Yeah.
limbs, anything
Yeah.
underneath there. You're begging to get a little bite.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a point of
Handyman
desperation.
Jack is a love-hate situation. I'm just surprised that
They've gone
they
away,
haven't sent
kinda.
more people to the grave than
Yeah.
they have.
Well,
I mean, dude,
yeah,
if that
as long
jack gets away from you and smacks you and
well, you're usually not
jaw.
going to kill you. There's probably lose teeth. Yeah.
Oh,
a
it'll
lot of lost
break
teeth
your
from
jaw.
handyman.
It'll break your jaw,
Yeah.
won't it?
Oh yeah.
Split lip for sure.
Have you
No.
done it?
No,
I watched my dad give himself a split lip on one of those handyman jacks. Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah,
No.
but you have to have one.
Oh, I'll certainly have. There's two brands that me and my dad owe our lives to from that trip. Whatever tie downs have the little bungee cord right by the hook to hold the side by side
That's
on
actually,
the trailer.
I want to say somebody in Beaver invented that or something, but I don't know.
I don't know.
They do have a bunge, like a big,
Yep.
thick rubber
thick.
stretch.
And they go with the bounce really good and they don't loosen up.
Yeah.
And they'll
But that one actually drug your side by side.
drug
Two
the
of
side
those,
by side.
and didn't break
Towed
the
it.
rubber.
Yeah, it drug the
park.
tires, burned the
Shout
tires
out.
on. Yeah. Those tires were flat.
They should be a sponsor of this podcast now.
Yeah, that and handyman jack. Without the
High
handyman
lift.
jack,
You want a high lift brand.
You know what you need? You know what you need? Your side by side. Drive your side by side.
Why weren't you guys driving your side by side?
Well, it was cold.
And it was
It
open
doesn't have
cab?
Sirius XM
Yeah.
radio,
Yeah.
right? They don't
Bronson,
have Sirius
we
XM,
weren't-
and they don't have. Some
We
of them
weren't
don't have
playing-
heaters.
There's something to be said about Sirius satellite radio. There's also something to be said for a cab side by side, Bronson.
Oh,
We
yeah.
talked about this.
I'm a believer. I didn't even take mine off last year. I just unzipped it.
How you get the dust out of it? We hate
Well,
dust.
what happens
dusty.
is,
They are.
mine has airflow through the top and pressurizes the cab, and I don't get dusty. So you have airflow over the top of your head, and at times, like when you're in the winter and you don't it's not dusty, you stuff a towel or jackets, extra jackets up there.
Keep
That'll
keep the
pressurize.
wind. It's just.
I'm not
cool.
sure on the Pioneer, Bronson. You'll have to tell me. Does that have that? Because I know the Talon might,
You
and
get
they're
air
both made
through
by
it.
Honda.
You get air through it. You do, and you need it in the dusty times. You need a little bit to keep it going back. But in the winter, yeah, you can shove it. But I didn't even do it last year.
And then then Bronson, we have the Epic Polaris machine, and it has an open cab, and it's incredible for 100-degree days, 80-degree trail cam days. Like, so it's kind of nice that you don't have to tear your cab
Got a
off.
roof, got a little bit of shade, but
That's
no
unbelievable.
nothing else.
Yeah, and you don't want a cab sometimes. But anyway, you had that trip out there in eastern Utah, and it made you a believer. Like, you take one trip like that, it's worth the price of the cab.
Yeah, and I just got it on late last summer. I knew my early fall, meaning August and September. Remember, I was busy. And so I'm like, I'm going to get this on because by the time I get back from all that, it's the end of September, and it's not hot anymore. Yeah. I'm going to need it because it's going to be raining. It's going to be whatever. So I had it put on in July before I even left up north last year, and I used it hard. Last year. So I used it the year before actually too, but I can take it on and off the back portion.
Yeah.
I don't want it all on there.
Yeah.
I don't use it in the
nice
spring.
In those monsoons. They can hit you with
Vengeance.
gallons and gallons. Yeah, vengeance.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have a cab machine too.
I usually don't in the summer, but I have the kind that I can keep the front cab with the doors on if I want, and the back part isn't. So you have all your car going back there. It's just kind of easy to get in and out of. But I don't know.
The best machine I've ever owned. Have you ever heard me say?
Never heard you say that. I'd like to know what you're going to say next.
Was it standard cab? Well, now it's funny. We call side by side standard cab. So one bench seat, Polaris Ranger, cabbed out and I had a diamond plate toolbox in the back. You can put all of a full elk, all quarters and everything in it. And it would pressurize itself like that, and it was just unbelievable. And then really easily, removable doors, pop up a window a little bit, get the airflow
for the summer.
And it had a lift. It was just right. It wasn't too long. Like sometimes those double
wheelbases that get too long,
and
get high center.
And when you put a lift on them, they quirk and tweak, and they just sometimes they're not right, and then sometimes a lifted machine's right. That one was right.
Why'd you get rid of it? Don't know.
Well, I mean,
still don't know.
No, I don't really. I want it back.
Yeah,
and then, but the people I
remember
sold it to, which is actually
we hunted sheep
close relatives.
We hunted sheep with it in Nevada together. We did.
What do you remember? Tell me.
I just remember that bike.
Which
you didn't have it long. I think it was 243.
Was it? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We had it about that era.
That. Yeah. Yeah, we cranked that, and we also cranked this down on the Springs. Do you remember? We hit a lot of scouting on 262.
Yeah, we scouted a bunch of units that year. It's taking a
statewide.
Do you know?
Hunter. I know this is winding down. I get it, but I don't want to quit. I'm so freaking excited about hunting Nevada.
The desert. Oh yeah.
And we call it a people, desert. Friends, whoever gets a tag.
Yeah. Me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Hey, he said it.
Dude, tell me how you feel about it.
Oh. Well, part of the reason is it's been a rough few years, and we've been anxious to get back because 2019 was a pretty solid year over there, and it hasn't been since.
We could tell that story for a minute, but anyway, keep going.
We've taken some licks on the chin. You talk about eating dust. Was it 2020 or 21?
I don't know. Either one. Gosh. 20.
The stag year. Killed an awesome stag with a membership drive winner, but man, we ate dust.
Oh,
that deep of powder.
Deep. Yeah,
on some of those roads.
Shout out to any vehicle that makes it. Same thing with the Strip. The Strip will eat a truck like that. But I think it's those years, those good years, keep you going back every year thereafter, and really what we should do and what we've learned. And I don't know why it's taken us. There's been, in our lifetime, Bronson, we haven't been a part of official studies per se. You have in some your 5 years of heavy biology, and you dealt with a lot on the, being the president of UFNAS back then is what it was called. But we've proven a few things. And the one thing we've proven is, and there was always a question, do drought years make big antlers for deer, mule deer specifically in what desert or high desert, whatever, 7,000 foot, 7 to 9, 5 to 9, 4 to 9,000 foot type elevations. And people were wondering, in drought years, well, the feed that does grow is so rich, and could it actually make for big deer versus just, wet years where, there's
everything's green
prolific.
everywhere. Yeah.
And we've proven, dude, we know for a fact there's big deer grows in wet years in these type of areas.
You can't make it happen in those off years. And we're talking not slightly off; they were massively off. And you can't make it happen. I mean, the amount of big deer. You guys are sick of hearing about it because we've talked about it for a few years, but it was rough.
You'd have over, and on good years, you'd have over 20 bucks over 200 inches on trail camera in 2 or 3 units that we could run hard. And then on drought years, you might have one.
Or 0.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's significant. Buck would go from
running the same spots.
Oh, yeah.
Not like you moved and tried new
and
areas.
Why is it the same places produce big deer year in and year out? Like, I'll think I'm gonna find the most obscure little water, a break in a line from a farmer trough, whatever, right? You're gonna find something obscure that nobody knows about, and it's the common areas that produce giants.
The proven. It's the feed. It's got to be just the habits. Mule deer are very habitual in terms of dispersion, in terms of where they're raised, where they water, where they do well. They aren't nomads very often. I mean, what I mean?
Right.
They're not like elk in that regard.
Right.
Elk are nomadic. They'll do crazy stuff year after year, year after year. Sometimes they go back to the same thing. Other times you never see a bull again. Ever.
Yeah, that's happened on specific units and bulls that we were a part of. That's happened. But these deer, so anyway.
Just excited. It can't be contained almost.
I mean, and so you can buy landowner tags in Nevada, and there's affordable tags in parts of the state. They're hard to find anymore. What's affordable, Bronson?
Yeah,
go ahead and find that for me anymore. Are trucks affordable? Is food affordable?
Sheep hunts aren't. I mean,
are eggs affordable? I mean, concrete affordable. What steel affordable? Whatever the case, products in general affordable. So. We've spent a lot of time in draw tags, wasted points, bought landowner tags in off years.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to stop yourself.
Cause you want to be there because when it's good, it's good. But I think I'm in double digits for deer points this year.
Yeah.
Well, it's been 2012 since I drew a tag. So, I'd have 10 or 11.
Yeah.
Ready to blame on the table.
And so,
Cashing
anyway,
in.
We've been in some weird off units in special years and hunted multiple big bucks in kind of units that are not known to be super special,
Kind of like that same principle with New Mexico. Sometimes you got to do something weird in a good year, what's looking to be a good year. Do a different weird, risk yourself. Stick yourself out there a little bit. Like in New Mexico, you can't just stick to the Gila. I mean, the odds are terrible. I've never drawn a Gila tag. I don't know if you've drawn maybe 1 or 2. But the fact that you get multiple choices there and in Nevada, use them.
Well,
don't be afraid to
part of it is
put yourself out there a little bit. Make something happen. Hopefully in a really good moisture year, which we haven't had for a long time. Now, at the same time, mule deer numbers are way low in these units we're talking about. Way lower than they were 5 years ago before this bad drought. So you are still going to have to grind, in my opinion. It's not going to be like the same deer that were there 5 years ago now are there to just grow, because a lot of those deer are gone.
Well, and waters change, like springs change. The areas that we hit really hard 5-10 years ago don't even exist anymore. The water doesn't even exist.
I haven't been out to them yet.
Right.
I don't want to be caught acting like I'm shed hunting.
But this
if I'm
is
just checking
where
water
maybe, hopefully, some of that old-time knowledge, like there were springs we found in weird units or even popular units that have disappeared, and the new generation of hunters might have been dry when the new generation was really
looking there.
even looking.
Yeah.
You know, so maybe that's where being old.
Yeah, the old black book's gonna get pulled out this year. Springs and lat longs.
And waypoints on old GPSs.
Yeah, that I got to find a charger for to turn it on.
To even turn it on, right?
The old rhinos.
Back when Onyx was Montana Mapping Company or Montana Hunting Company or whatever it was.
And rhinos we thought was the best thing that could have ever been invented.
And they were.
At the
right?
time.
You could transfer waypoints via the radio.
Hey, Jason,
The
you got my
walkie-talkie.
location. Yeah.
And then we put cards in, you know, like
micro
mini
SD
SDs or
chips.
micros or
Yeah.
whatever, and even big ones.
Yeah.
You know, and so
Have
anyway,
maps.
there's waypoints in there. I have a
landownership.
physical one that I keep in a special place. I
I've-
tell my kids, this is an heirloom. Like, take this.
Well, I've got one of those with a lot of waters in the deserts of Utah, desert sheep country.
Well,
like
you're talking
incredible.
water pots.
Like
they're not
life.
on maps.
Like not what, just stuff that will save your life when you need it to, or that will allow you to hunt certain areas.
Seems like you and I got dry in one of those pots
What
that
do
are
you mean?
now on.
What do you mean? Seems like.
That are now in a. Well, go ahead.
Oh yeah, that sucked. Yeah,
How long ago was that? And that memory is etched
What
forever.
year was that? The year same year I had my duck and elk tag. Was that
2008.
8 or 9?
Yeah.
Because they started roughly the same weekend. You drew a desert sheep tag, and I drew my elk.
Yeah.
And back then, it's kind of like now, Utah. You found out like the end of May, and by the time you find out, June is like the hottest month. The gnats are out, and it usually doesn't rain. But we were, how old were we there? That was 15 years ago. So what were we? 30s, mid 30s, mid 30s.
Right.
In other
30.
words, bring it on. Bring on anything in the world. Bring it on. So we drove out there. We marched in, and it was in a year, not like this year we're having right now. It was a year that hadn't rained for 2-3 months.
Yeah.
And all of the standard places that I thought, hey, we're going to go in there camp for 3-4 days.
It used
scout
to
for
be
sheep.
big. Let's call them swimming pools.
Swimming pools, literally, like hundreds or thousands of gallons of water.
Yeah.
Were dry. Every one we went to, and
was
we
dry.
committed. We went in all in, and we had to now
Put in a
realization.
Leaf River trail camera that had D's and C's, batteries, and CF cards. You know what those are, Logan? Do you know what a CF card is?
Compact flash.
I do not know what a CF card is.
They're about 1.5 inches, 2 inches by 2 inches square.
3 or 4 times the size of an SD card.
Yeah.
Do you know what an SD card is?
I do. I work with those a lot.
Lots.
Yeah. but that was only 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
No.
And
It was out there
we
the
weighed
su-
the cameras. They were with the batteries. They were 4 pounds.
Yeah,
with the
I
batteries.
remember. And then
The camera and batteries in them.
And the lens on them turned yellow from the sun.
And we
over the course
we
of like
packed
3 months.
At least 2 of those in there. What were we thinking? What were we thinking?
Stupid.
But we were mid-30s. And
Back then, if they had made a cellular, we'd have been all in.
you probably could have got them. But, I mean, it was – then the realization is we cannot stay here anymore, and it's a long ways out. And just remember hiking, would hike and it's brutal. When I say brutal, it's 100, 105. It wasn't 115. But for Utah, that's hot. And when you've gone all day hiking in there, 10-plus miles.
Oh, dude, remember? Okay. The deep part's 25 miles.
Yeah.
We were 17 to 20 miles to where we went.
That's right.
Each way.
And now you got to go back out probably 6 to 8 until you hit for sure
we
water
went the
again.
full way in, put the camera in, and
realized we can't stay. There's no water in here. We can't camp here tonight. We've got to go all the way back out to where we know there's water.
Which is the river.
Yeah.
Okay. But between there and the river, we were out. Okay.
Oh.
We were dry. No, we were out.
We weren't
out. Tearing anymore. Right?
Not sweating anymore.
Not sweating anymore.
I just remember it was we'd walk felt like 200 to 300 yards and have to sit down and just rest. Do you remember that?
We did that.
We didn't even talk to each other.
No.
We didn't even talk. Because we knew.
We were, but honestly, back then we were too dumb to even write our last will and testament.
We didn't have anything to send a lat long out to our friends.
There was nothing like that.
Not that they'd respond anyway if they were Jason, apparently.
There was nothing.
I would respond. I am never going to leave you high and dry. I think you know that. But
this is
I would have let you worked on that truck another day, probably.
Make sure you really need me.
We didn't have
7 hours each way, and we're putting out a magazine. Bro. I'd been like, Bronson, what do you think? All right, keep going.
Yeah, it was just I remember it was it was a grind. It was nothing. We were in great physical shape. We were young, but we'd been all day 20-something plus miles hiking and out of water, and you knew where you had to get, and it was just all you could do. We'd go 200-300 yards, try to find some little shade overhang or a cedar tree or something. It was just we were weak.
So in this kind of country, there's natural funnels where when it rains, there's a natural funnel where the water goes, and then it drops into a pot, drops into a pot, drops into a pot.
Every single one all day long was dry that I had marked. Mm-hmm. They weren't live.
We were on to new, untested, uncharted territory, and we were going down one of these little, let's call it a little draw or a little sandstone draw. And what happened? We found one.
Yeah, tiny. It was like, I just remember it was like a godsend because this little thing should not have water. Of all the things we checked all day long.
It was open to the sun.
Yeah, to face the south. But it was just, the sandstone must not have been as porous or something because sandstone sucks up water just by nature.
Right.
And I don't know, it must have had a layer of something in there, different mineral. And it wasn't big. But we got it.
It was stagnant, but nobody cared. We did not care how to drink it straight up.
Yeah.
And we sucked and sucked and sucked through the water pumps and beat those water pumps up. And
we used them in the river later and ruined them because that fine silt in the water will ruin them fast. But I just remember getting to that river and just sitting there. Don't remember how long we just sat in that river
Hours.
And just drank and I don't know.
We were
camped right there.
We were happy.
We weren't going any further.
No.
But it was a
humbling
experience.
Let's call it a 17 in and another 12 out because it's another 5 from there
at least. Yeah, it was
or 7.
I can't even fathom going out and trying that right now.
Hey, I
am a realist. I just know that would crush us right now. I think one of us would be scratching our initials in the sandstone. Right.
Well, and we were too young. I never really realized we were too young to realize.
You're kind of in trouble.
Is there a heat? Can you get a heat stroke? And really didn't even. Those don't cross your mind. We weren't gonna. No, in my mind, we weren't gonna die. But nowadays. And I would hate to think, what would a Gen Z?
Well,
Logan, is your generation tough? I know you're tough. I believe you are tough.
I'm glad we got that out of the way because I don't know.
There's no juice boxes out there.
No juice boxes, bud.
There's several in my pack at all times, so don't even worry.
Well, it was just one of those. I've had 2 of those experiences. That's one of them. So in roughly a half century of living, we're talking about this one, and I had one other when I was doing my graduate hiking for desert sheep, very similar, that I got probably weaker, more delirious. I don't think it was like hallucinating, but it was just like total empty. But 2 times in my life, and we've lived in the desert, so it was a significant.
Well, you can talk about it a little bit, and then I've got one that I'll talk about. Tell one more.
It was significant. It was very similar, so I don't want to sound too redundant, but I was for 2 summers, I did my graduate research project on desert bighorn sheep and watering sources in southern Utah on the Caparowitz Plateau. And, you get out of college in the, late April, early May. So your season to do your master's project is from, June 1 to like mid-August when you got to go back to the coursework, which is what? The hottest time of the year.
The hottest.
There's no hotter.
August 1 to 10.
But the gnats are out. It's just a brutal. I don't remember when it was, but I just remember. And this was also in the early 2000s, like 2000 to 2002. Okay, what I hiked with paper maps in my pack.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know.
All right.
2002 was an extreme drought too, by the way.
And so I would look at routes, and I'd have a truck and a 4-wheeler, and I'd try to, because you can't get picked up. You're out there all alone. You drive to a certain point, maybe leave a 4-wheeler here so you could do a loop of, let's call it 10 to 15 miles in a day as you're mapping and GPS and spots. And I either missed a canyon or the topo I was reading was more of a 1 to 100,000 instead of 7.5 minute, 1 to 24. And I didn't have the detail to know which canyon do I need to get out of this canyon on and hike up and back on top. And I way overshot my canyon. And by the time I topped out, I realized I'm a long ways away and I have no water. Yeah. And I have a lot farther to hike back than I thought. And I just remember the intervals that felt like 50 to 100 yards when I topped out, and I'm walking on a road. I'm walking on a flat road, but I remember I could go like 100 yards and I have to just stop. And I never felt like I'm going to die. I was never to that point. I just I've got to just make sure I don't, tip over or something like that. But I just remember never been more parched in my life. And I left my pack, so I didn't need to pack anything. I mean, nothing in there was going to save my life. I had no water, so I just left it because I know I could come back and get it. But it was a scary moment. Finally hit the truck, and I remember just starting to guzzle water. And I've never had this happen. I would guzzle a quart of water, and I remember threw it all up. Water.
No.
I just think the body was just so empty.
Got to go slow.
Yeah, and I didn't do that. I remember just throwing it all up. Luckily, I had tons. I could keep doing it, but it was a scary moment.
Mine, I was, and I think we've been around each other enough. We've heard each other's stories a little bit, but man, mine was my dad drew a desert sheep in San Juan. He drew this desert sheep, and we had Fat Cat. We did Fat Cat motorcycles. They were Honda fat tired motorcycles.
We got to define that,
because they were an '86 and an '87. And know, because Beaver County,
all the farmers use
kept
those.
them.
So
Moving
about
pipe.
half of the Fat Cats that Honda built have made the rounds through Beaver County and became farm animals, farm machines, and hunting machines. And
moving
then
sprinkling pipe because they don't sink in the
out,
mud as much.
And there's probably 1,000 Fat Cat frames in farm fields down in Beaver County at some point. So they were one of those bikes. We didn't have side-by-sides, and the four-wheelers had monoshocks like what you were raised on. I still remember the Henry's monoshock story of the old rancher, right? Manual shift or a foot shift. And so, or a push-button shift, but not the Honda-matic transmission and things that we have nowadays, belt-driven stuff. So we used the Honda Fat Cat to even navigate roads. It's not that we were using them cross-country, although back then a lot of people did to shed hunt. Times have changed.
Well, they're easier to ride than a skinny.
Looked down upon. Do you remember that, Logan?
To do what?
Shed hunt off of.
Off of those
Fat Cat
four-wheelers?
motorcycles.
I never did that.
Yes. Okay, so this is beyond the Gen Z crowd. Bronson, years prior.
Well, they're more forgiving to ride. They're more like a TW now, but they were even fatter. They were like three-wheeler tires.
And they weren't
even
even clutched. They were just, you let off, like a four-wheeler, you let off the gas and shift, right?
Well, and they were more forgiving to ride in the desert and sand and all that. You didn't put them down. So they were easy to ride. My grandpa had one. He bought a brand new one when he was a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Wish I still had it.
I remember we bought brand new ones from Monticello, the Honda shop in Monticello.
Honda Land.
Yeah,
that's where my grandpa got.
Yeah. So anyway, we just used them on an old uranium road or whatever. It got us up to elevation. Basically, had to hike our guts out. We hiked up on top, and this was summer. There's September openers, as you know. We hike up on top, and I was prided myself on being a good glasser, and sure enough, I was gonna glass a sheep, and I did. I glassed a ram as far as I could see, up
on top of the
mist. And you're whatever. And the mornings are cooler, and the evenings are cooler, and it's cool, and then it's starting to get hot, and we're gonna go after the sheep and see what he is. And we don't have that much water, but you don't think a lot about it because I can see it. That's still 4 miles aerial each way,
and not to mention how many cuts you got to
go
around
and
to get.
It's
not a straight line.
No, not at all. It's canyons, tight.
Yeah.
Lots of them, lots and lots of them. And so we get going, and we go to the and then by the time you get there, you're committed. You're 2/3 of the way there, realizing you got water problems. And then you got to finish it because we saw a ram, and what if it's the ram? And here we are, and now we've gone through all this pain and suffering, and we're going to finish the job. And it's a dink. We walk over the edge, and he's a couple of dink rams. Yeah. And for sure they're the ram. For sure. I'm like, that's
right where we
what
left.
I saw. Yeah. And we got to make it back. And we're out of water. With the exception, my dad saved a little bit for a rainy hour, whatever it was.
The death
and
march.
we got to where we were a third or half the way back, and it's 100 and something degrees, as you know, in September and down there. And he turns to me and he says, "Kay,
this is it.
I'm going to give you this water," and I'm stopped. I'm done. I'm sitting under this tree, and you take the water and you make it back. And then we had a gallon at the bike, and then you
replenish and get back to me.
And then you come back and you get me and bring me water. And that happened.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I made it back to that bike. It was tiny. let's call it a pint
Flask.
that I got. Yeah.
Little
And I stopped, and I had to stop every 100 to 200 yards, and I took a nap
Yeah.
every 100
Yeah.
to 200 yards. And I don't know
Yeah.
how long I was out.
I remember I don't know what that does to you, but that's that feeling. I feel like that's what you have to do. It's feel like you can do.
Yeah. So you get a little bit of shade and whatever, you know, and stopped and started all the way back to the bike. Did the same thing, and then I took a nap at the bike, and then I'm like, I got to make it back. And so I took what was left, and I went back. And I met up with my dad, gave him the water, and we made it back to the bikes.
Wow.
And then we went down, and we had camp trailers with generators, and it was a day and a half we laid on the floor under the air conditioner, and we ate and drank and were merry. And we ate and we drank and we were merry.
The last thing in your mind was a desert sheep.
We didn't care about nothing. We didn't care about nothing.
Just get your body swollen back up.
Didn't matter.
We drank water it needed.
Fine liquids, whatever it was. We drank Pepsis and water and ate all that we could eat, and it was a joyous experience. And it was one of those that you look
forget.
back on and you know, just kind of one of those experiences that you carry to the carry to the grave, and that define you a little bit. You know, and I think it's some of those experiences that maybe some of the younger generation don't experience as much. Bronson, do you ever get lost anymore?
Not anymore, but I also you're more cautious because one or two of those you can always get caught out in a storm. Snow is when it's not supposed to snow. You know, whatever. Kill something up dark, and now you're going to be way late getting back. But I'm way more prepared now than I ever was back then. Way more for some experiences like that. I'm way more prepared.
And I think they make you tough when you're in the Yukon. And you and I have both done them. You've done some of those mountain hunts, you know, more than I have. Like you know, and even Alaska, you know, we've done it. I've done some of those sheep hunts, and I'm telling you, there is no I'm not going to make it. There wasn't. Yeah. We weren't. We've done hard. You've done hard things, and so it's just how am I gonna make it?
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yep. No, it is. It seasons you for sure. Seasons you, teaches you, helps you be more prepared, helps you be more cautious is not the right word, but just more analytical now. When I've got a place that I need to go scout or a place I need to go look for something that's I'm going to be exposed, and you're going to a little bit of the unknown because water in southern Utah, we don't have a lot of seeps and springs. It's natural water in sandstone potholes. Tanahas.
In that location.
I call them tanahas, earthen potholes,
catchments.
You know, in that, and that's what you survive on. And I've also gotten better about when I know not to go. Like these last couple of summers, like not the summers to come off of a winter you had nothing and go. Like you're asking for trouble going on real deep stuff. This spring right now, bring it on.
Well, that's why I was a little bit surprised that Paul, being as wise as he is, that he kept forging. Because honestly, anymore now, and it's what happens is you get to that point of no return, and you just assume if I make it through a few more snow drifts, I'm going to make it. But we've all done it, and I'm not a kid anymore, and I'm just over it. Yeah. I'm over getting stuck. You know what I mean? If I can help it.
That's what I mean.
Bronson, I took 2 trips out to Nevada, right? Flat and level. What did I tell you? Totally got stuck.
Yeah.
Okay. I came back.
And you've been here ever since.
Need to replace motor mounts in my truck, and I'm not. And I'm like. And what did I tell you? I'm now happy to be in the office. I'm just fine here.
Yeah, you dodged a bullet.
I know.
Had to walk miles and get picked up at night and send an SOS and send some lat longs.
Yeah. The kids went out, got stuck, and luckily they had a shovel, and then some people came and helped push them out, and this and that. And anyway, anymore, we're just careful of making sure we take what we need and trying to.
Got a lot more awesome tools now than we had as kids, too. It was a handyman jack and a shovel, no inReach, no sat phones, nothing.
Yeah.
And I just think about the places we went as kids, and nothing
We're driving
bad
uphill
happened.
in an old Bronco in 3 foot of snow and broke the back driveline U-joint, and had to take baling wire and hold up the driveline. And we were in four-wheel drive, but it was front-wheel drive. And, there is no who you going to call, so you're getting out. So anyway, I don't know We got to end this. Do we just end it and call it a day and go eat?
That's right.
Drink and be
It's
merry for lunch.
Yeah. On that note, let's go eat, drink, and be merry.
I'm over it. Okay, let's do it.
We'd like to thank all of our sponsors here at Epic Outdoors. For top-of-the-line hunting, clothing, and apparel in every environment, visit UnderArmour.com. We'd like to thank Under Armour for being our title sponsor and making this podcast happen. Visit our website, epicoutdoors.com, for discount codes to Under Armour hunting apparel. Handcrafted, quality, precision rifles from start to finish. Red Rock Precision is one of our sponsors, and many of our staff uses Red Rock rifles. Visit redrockprecision.com to find out more. If you're in the market for a hunting property, our sponsor at St. James Sporting Properties specialize in premier hunting properties throughout the West. Check out available hunting properties at stjamessportingproperties.com. Good-looking, comfortable camo describes Kuiu. The new bush pants from Kuiu keep your legs comfortable while walking through the thorns and bristles. Visit kuiu.com for sizing and prices. Kenetrek makes great boots for any situation. Most sheep hunters in the high, rocky altitudes use these boots to keep their ankles in check on the rough terrain. Visit kenetrek.com to learn more. We at Epic Outdoors are a fierce firearms dealer and have many popular models in stock and ready to ship. Call us if you would like help deciding which options are right for you. Fierce long-range rifles are a great rifle, and many of our employees here use them. Visit fiercearms.com to learn more. Triple S Polaris specializes in custom setup hunting side-by-sides. They deliver right to your door nationwide. Visit SSSPolaris.com to learn more. For affordable, long-range rifles and shooting schools, visit ThompsonLongRange.com. Hoyt is top-of-the-line archery equipment. Hoyt is the official bow manufacturer of Epic Outdoors. Everyone on our staff shoots a Hoyt bow. Call if you'd like to visit about their different models or visit Hoyt.com. Thank you to PhoneScope, the best camera optic adapter out there. PhoneScope makes high-quality phone cases and optics adapters. Visit PhoneScope.com to learn more. StealthCam has high-quality, durable trail cameras that we all love to use. Check them out at www.stealthcam.com or call us to order today. Here at Epic Optics, we are a verified dealer for Swarovski, Zeiss, Leica, Vortex, StealthCam, and more. Call us today to visit about the available optics we have and what would be right for you, or visit epicoptics.com. For only $150 a year, you get 9 issues of the Epic Outdoors magazine and unlimited access to our hunt consultants, as well as access to our verified research website. To see all the other member benefits, visit epicoutdoors.com. If you hunt multiple states, our services are essential. The Epic Outdoors License Application Service is for you if you ever miss deadlines or would like help developing your long, medium, and short-term license application goals. Give us a call today at 435-263-0777 to learn more.